Hi everybody, Holly Duckworth here, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique Practitioner Level 3. And I want to talk about a very important subject today, and that's the concept of backdrop people. Dolores brought this concept in a couple of her books, Convoluted Universe books, and I've gotten additional information on this concept through some of my QHHT sessions. So I wanted to share that information with you today. It seems that this concept, backdrop people, is maybe a little more complex than Dolores originally shared or researched, or at least we know more now. And what I've found is that there's actually 4 different kinds of backdrop people. We can use this kind of umbrella term, but there's more specific categories or types of backdrop people in the world. And so I want to share that with you. The first kind of backdrop people that I found through my sessions is what we might call a walk-in or a walk-out. So this is a situation where the soul is not inextricably linked to the body. And we know this in lots and lots of QHHT sessions. We find that the client's soul entered that body, let's say when they were 4 or 5 or 6 years old. The soul is not necessarily introduced to the body at the moment of conception or even the moment of the first breath. Sometimes there are situations where the soul waits a little while before it enters the baby's body. So that might be an example of a walk-in. And then the other thing that I've found is in most cases, at the time of very violent and traumatic death, the soul has usually left the body before the body experiences the pain and the suffering. This often happens if the death happens on a battlefield. For most of my clients, where we've experienced another life in QHHT and the death has been particularly violent, like on a battlefield, usually the soul is observing the moments of death from outside of the body. And so this indicates that the soul has already left the body before the last breath is taken. So the soul can enter and exit the body at any time. It isn't necessarily inextricably linked to that body. And so we can call this kind of like a backdrop person where the soul walks in or the soul walks out. Another example of this, of course, is near-death experiences. So that's the first type, the walk-in, walk-out phenomena. And of course, the walk-in, walk-out phenomena gets a whole lot more complicated than that, but I won't go into that right now. The second type of backdrop person is what I call the human suit. And this is where there's just the physical human body is literally like a vehicle, like a vessel, like a car. And higher dimensional beings are allowed to then use that body for whatever purpose they might have. And so the body is just empty. It isn't really a sentient being. It isn't really an incarnated life. But higher dimensional beings are then allowed to use that body. It might be for 5 minutes, it might be for 5 days, it might be for 5 years, but to have whatever sort of experience or complete whatever purpose that that higher dimensional being has in a human suit. You're never going to meet these people. Okay, they're off doing their thing. You're never going to notice them. They are definitely not your friends and family, but there are human suits as backdrop people out there that are just vehicles or vessels. Almost think about it as your automobile and almost like a rental car where different higher dimensional beings can come in and out of the same human suit to serve whatever sort of purpose they need the human suit for. Number 2. Third type of backdrop person that I found is what you might call angels or an earth angel. And so we've all heard those stories in books like Chicken Soup for the Soul, where someone's been particularly despondent and maybe they're walking down the street and a seemingly homeless person or derelict person comes up to them and happens to utter exactly what they needed to hear at that moment, then that apparent homeless person or derelict person might be actually an angel in disguise, in a human disguise. And we see this over and over and over again, where in a moment, for just a moment, an angel has appeared as a human, as an ordinary human, to do some sort of angelic work in the third dimension. So that's the third kind, an earth angel. And then the fourth kind of backdrop person that I've found are the pure stand-up holograms. There's literally nothing there, but you are manifesting and you are creating the appearance of large numbers of people, and they're holographic people, for some sort of reason, for some sort of experience for yourself. And so Dolores and Julia in a video talked about walking through a very busy airport and kind of having that moment of understanding that, oh my gosh, look at all of these people that we've created to feel the hustle and bustle and have the experience of that crowded situation in the airport there. And so these are just holograms. And so sometimes we do that. We manifest for ourselves these very crowded, these very hustly and bustly type situations to just have that experience and feel that experience for ourselves. So those are the four kinds of backdrop people that I've found: the walk in, walk out, the human suit, the earth angel, and the hologram. Now, one of the cautions that I want to provide is we're talking about backdrop people. In my opinion, what I think is that it's never acceptable to be what I call a backdrop person bigot. And so when I talk about this to some of my clients and some of my friends about this concept of backdrop people, sometimes we can get the feeling of, oh, well, that's just a backdrop person, and so I can treat them harshly, or I can think of them less than me, or I can look down upon them. Okay? In no case should we ever do that. Even all of these four types of backdrop people are aspects of God. Okay? They are divine, and they are divine experiences and divine aspects and divine situations in this divine life that we're living. And so they should be honored and regarded as such. At no point in time should you be a backdrop person bigot. It's just another miraculous phenomenon of this miraculous reality that we have the grace and the privilege of living at this moment in time. Thank you for listening to what I've learned about backdrop people.